let's talk now fundamentals of marksmanship as applied to the pistol system. So we're going to refresh the fundamentals here. Now I believe that when teaching the fundamentals, too many are too eager to say too much. The message becomes a bunch of watered down gobbledygook and it's no longer palatable to the intended recipient. There are a lot of brain default mechanisms that go into shooting one of these things, and I try to exploit that. Primal level learning, brain default mechanisms. And then I don't have to freaking say too much. It cuts down on the amount of verbiage, you know? So I'm going to try to exploit that shit. So fundamentals typically start with stance. Stance are fundamental of fighting pistol marksmanship. Stance.
Fighting stance.
Fighting pistol marksmanship is stance, a fundamental. Yeah, you can answer what you want. I don't care, because we'll debate all this shit. I would say absolutely not. It's not, because you don't have a freaking choice. You know, you could be coming out of a vehicle or around a barricade. You could be moving into position, and this wouldn't be a stance in any textbook. So my version of stance to you is, if you're standing up, you're good. If your feet are under your body, you're good. You know, I don't give a shit if a guy's blading off the wrong way. You know, if it's not textbook modified isosceles. I don't care, really. I mean, unless it's really janky, then I'm probably not going to say anything. I also want you to take the thought process out of stance. You know, like the exaggerated tactical turtle or the low rider. If you just stand up, you're probably going to be good. Now, grip, however, we need to talk that, because if we pull this out in a gunfight, it's probably going to be in multiples, not a single shot from the holster. That should die with Johnny or Ringo. So, we need to make sure we're gripping this right. So, with your firing hand, it goes up as high as possible. The purchase goes up as high as possible. Good purchase here under the trigger guard. And with your support hand, it consumes what is remaining. So we have good 360 degree consumption. 360. Get that thumb out of there. Nope, none of this bullshit. Stack those thumbs. I'll remind you. There will be a few guys who are like this, and I'll just remind you. Okay, get that thumb out of there. If you hear me say get that thumb out of there, that's what it means. Not only do we want to consume what is remaining, but if we can't, this support hand at a slight 45, it does three things for us. One is it closes up this gap right here, yoink. Two, it brings the pistol up, brings your grip up higher. And three, it gives you more anatomical stability. It's harder to break this than it is that. Stance grip. Now, I like to call presentation a fundamental of pistol marksmanship. Presentation, I'm calling nothing more from our ready position to our firing position. When I say ready position, that's like second part of the draw stroke. We would come from the holster to a ready position before we push out. So during presentation, we want two things to happen. One is we want the pistol to move on a flat of a line as possible, mitigate scooping or porpoising on a flat of a line as possible. Number two, we want the grip to get tighter around the pistol as we present out. So physics over strength, kind of building that vise around a clamshell around that pistol as we present out. So, yes, sir.
For years, I was told, don't grip the damn thing like you're trying to strangle your wife or trying to strangle it. Just hold on to it. And the more online, listening to different trainers and so forth, now it's grab the damn thing like you're trying to break something.
Right.
Is it?
It's going to be a little different for everybody.
Okay.
So you're going to have to discover that.
Okay.
You know, that's just, I call that discovery learning.
Okay.
Figure it out. So it depends on, there's variables here, right? Did you just put freaking sunscreen on your hands are slippery? Do you have little hands? Do you have great big dick beaters? Are you strong? Are you weak? Etc.
Okay.
But yes, we want to grip it. Now, speaking of that, there are certain things that I don't say for a certain reason.
Okay.
Yeah. And so if you recognize that I left something out, ask it at whenever you want, like that right there. Yeah, because there's certain things that I'm careful that I leave out for certain reasons because I want to exploit that default mechanism.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Support hand trigger finger on the trigger guard is a no-no.
No, you want that trigger finger on the trigger guard.
No,
Support
I'm
hand.
saying in front of the trigger.
The European grab the front of the trigger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Some guys do that, and I'm like, whatever floats your boat. I mean, you're not gaining a mechanical advantage if you're doing this.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're really not. If guys do that, I'm like, if they're hitting well and their recoil management's good, I'm like, whatever. There's a guy who comes to a class of mine who still shoots old school Weaver, but he hits everything that he's shooting at. So I'm like, whatever. I don't care. Freaking whatever floats your boat.
They're European.
Yeah.
One